program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
A very, very good morning and welcome to the beginning of the morning safari. My name is Sydney and I am not traveling alone this morning. I am with Senzo, who is my camera operator. We are both going to be with you this morning, and I will try by all means in order to get you very interesting animals. My plan this morning is quite very easy. I am looking for the spotted cats, and earlier on I picked up some noise. It was a sawing from this area. Maybe it's Tingana, if not Hosanna, or any other leopard. I haven't heard Hosanna yet sowing, but I hear the leopard in this area. For your questions and comments, you can follow us on Twitter, #SafariLive. You can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. The temperature in the area this morning here is very cold. You can see that my jersey is high up because it's very cold. It's about 14 degrees. That is cold. So, Senzo, what do you think this morning? Spotted cats. Thank you. We are going to the spotted cats now. Karen, oh, I missed that. I didn't manage to get hold of that sound from the wild dogs. But, you know, in the bush, we always got to expect unexpected. I might now go and look for the leopards and come across something else. Wild dogs will be good as well. So I'm looking for everything at the same time. It's just that on top of my list, I've got the leopards. So I can see that it's going to be a very nice sunrise this morning. I can see the reflection there. You can see in front is nice and pink. It's showing that the sun is going to be lovely this morning. And it's very much clear. There's no clouds at all. So it's going to be very hot. Yesterday, I looked everywhere for Tingana. But this morning, that's so. I think what I heard earlier is Tingana. So I'm just going to stop now and listen to the bush a little bit. Maybe I will hear something. I didn't hear anything. So I have not yet picked up any fresh tracks, but the sowing probably was from this area here. So I'm just going to check this central road a little bit and go up towards the Galago Pan. A very, very good morning to you all again. Giraffe girl, yes, the color of the sky you can see there. This is amazing. You can easily prejudge. Look at that. Look at that. Before the sun comes out, it's already nice and clear, nice and pink, and there's no clouds at all. So that is just a pure reflection. I don't have any leopard tracks yet, so up to this corner. I'm just gonna make a turn now and go up towards the Galago Pen. Maybe I might be lucky with some of the tracks in that area. Oh, David already got some elephants in the Masai Mara. So let's see our first animal of the day, the biggest land mammal, the elephant.
A very good morning and hello everybody, Jambo from the Mara Triangle in Kenya. And what a nice way to be welcomed on our morning drive by an elephant. As usual, my name is David, that has not changed. And hiding behind the camera is the big boy, Big James. Good morning, sir. How is your morning? Did you sleep well? Better than me? Too many questions, James. And please remember, this is a very interactive show. Your questions make a lot of good sense to us. Keep asking us as many questions as you can. Any comments you may have, or you may want to find out why that Ellie is hiding behind that torchwood tree, you may send similar comments or questions, as usual, on #SafariLive. We are coming to you from the Masai Mara Game Reserve, and specifically in the Mara Triangle. Very interesting. For once, we have had very similar temperatures as the sun is pushing up there between here in the Mara Triangle and Juma in South Africa. And I'm sure Sydney might have mentioned that 58 degrees Fahrenheit and 14 degrees Celsius. It's the first time in many times as I can remember we had both places with same temperatures. Not sure the animals will always know what temperatures they got. And of course, from their body language, you can tell. Like for this Ellie here, which is a big boy, you can see the ears not flapping, the kind of, quiet, not moving a lot. Elephants, when it gets warm, they keep flapping a lot. So that means it's not cold, it's not very hot for them. That's another big boy there. Could be two of them. And you can tell boys from girls by the shape of their front foreheads. So boys will tend to stick together when they are not mating. Chrissy, great comment. This is breathtaking. I mean, personally, when I stopped here, I was telling James, look at those two Ellies there. Look at the sun trying to push up and the savannah and the hills in the background. It couldn't be better. I agree with you 100%. And all the beautiful colors of sunrise in any part of the world. And I have always said Africa gives you the best sunrises and sunsets in the world. Good morning, sir. The tusks don't look very clean, so it shows either it has been in some very muddy areas or it hasn't been able to go to the marsh area where when they eat, they also keep cleaning their tusks. Jonathan, is it your good morning or good afternoon or good evening, sir? And I would say, Jonathan, that's a very interesting question. Very difficult to tell, very difficult to tell. The Masai Mara borders another game park called Serengeti National Park, north of Tanzania. And these two game parks, or these two conservation areas, do not have a boundary between them. In theory, or in paper, or in terms of management, we have a boundary. But these animals keep crisscrossing from Masai Mara in Kenya, from the Mara Triangle in Kenya, to Serengeti National Park in Tanzania and back. And for that reason, it's very difficult to keep account, or for the experts to tell us how many elephants we got in this area. My wild guess, I would say anything between 3,000 to 5,000 elephants. Jonathan, that is my guess as David, but it's very difficult to tell. There's certain game parks. There's one in Kenya called Amboseli National Park. Amboseli National Park is in one area where elephants don't move a lot, and that one has about 1,000 elephants that they have been able to count. There's one lady who has been researching those elephants for 25 plus years, and she says we've got about 1,000 elephants there. Just like Kruger National Park in South Africa, it's huge, it's massive, it's surrounded by conservancy areas or some private game reserves, and these animals and more so elephants are always in the national park and outside. could be rather difficult to tell the number. Very good, James. Well done. Very good. We'll keep moving. Hopefully going to get bigger herds of elephants. And I think we'll take you all the way to South Africa because Sydney has a spotted predator with him now.
Look at that. I've got a spotted predator. Yes, I'm looking for the spotted cats, but now look what I've got. As I indicated, I just got to expect unexpected. So now I've got the hyenas here. It's not just one. I have seen 3 already. So they're all heading down to the water hole here by the Juma Pan. So one of them is not yet at the water hole. And another one, I think, is at the water hole at the moment. So you can see he's going towards that side. So these hyenas are coming to drink by this time of the morning because hyenas mostly, they prefer to sleep shortly after the sunrise. Sometimes you can see them during the day. That is determined by the food availability. If they pick up something, they can't wait. They just got to go there and see if they can have a chance, even during the day. But mostly they perform their nocturnal life. So look at them now. So these animals can run like that for a long distance. You know, they don't ambush animals like what lions do. Yes, you will see them in clans, but when chasing something, they've got to chase it until it gets tired. Mostly, they can catch something after 5 kilometers. So they can run such long distances. That is amazing. But if you look, other spotted animals, such as the leopards, they use their spots for hunting purposes. So those are the ones which can approach very close and they can be able to catch something when it's at a distance of less than 10 meters, mostly 5 meters. Look, another one is coming there. Now we've got 2. Oh, that hyena is not pregnant. The hyena has just been to the water hole now. So it means all these hyenas, the stomachs are going to look that very big because of quite a lot of water. So they were just having water now. And remember, this water, these hyenas, let me just quickly get to the water hole so that we can see another one drinking. So only 2 has been to the water hole so far. So the last one is okay, I've got a very interesting comment from Michael. Michael is naming the hyena that we just saw now, the one the one with the full stomach, saying that is Pooza. It's a nickname. Oh, I didn't copy that. Thank you, FC. Koza. Okay. Senzo, is that the name for that hyena? Yeah. Oh, I didn't know about that. Thanks. Look at that one now, drinking. See, the hyenas, when drinking, they prefer to go right into water. Look at that. Beautiful spots. So they're making sure that they have water by this time because they are going to rest now for the whole day and come out again later on. Maybe these hyenas are going to bring me luck in order to see the spotted cat Tingana this morning. Look at that. You can see that these animals are drinking, but also concentrating on the surrounding, checking what's happening. So this direction where this hyena is checking is where I'll be looking for Tingana afterwards. You can see this one also looks pregnant because of that water. So the water and the shape confuses a lot. So now let's go to the other side and see if I can pick up some tracks for the lovely cat Tingana this morning. Maybe these hyenas are going to lead me to these cats. Who knows? They are also going to the same direction where I'm going. Oh, two of the hyenas went towards the opposite direction and one is going up that side. Jeffrey, I did copy your question very nicely. Jeffrey, that is true. Hyenas are not that very well gifted when it comes to the hunting tactics. So hyenas and the wild dogs, how they kill animals is different from other well-sophisticated predators. So just yet some call now. I just want to try and hear. Where is that call coming from? Senzo picked up something as well. Oh, yes, the hyenas are calling now. Oh, they can travel very long distance in a very short space. They've just been here, but the call now sounds very far. Ray, the hyenas don't really hunt every night, and high percentage of their diet is just the remains from the other animals. So sometimes the hunting activities is determined by what is in their stomach. So that is what motivates hunting activities on all predators. And the size of the prey matters the most. If the size of the prey was too small, obviously they have got to look for food at a very short space. But if they were feeding on a big animal, they are going to take some days before they eat again. If you look at what they eat, the hyenas, they've got a very good digestive system, because the animals that eat the other animals remaining, they also eat quite a lot of bones, and so they can be able to digest those kind of material. And I'm sure it takes time a little bit in order to digest those kind of bones. Sorry, the hyenas are one of those animals, if I was to recommend in order to rebrand an animal, hyena was going to be the first one. Why? Because quite a lot of African tribes, they have got a lot of different stories about hyenas, and some of the stories, hyenas are associated with the evil stuff, whereas some of them, the hairs of the hyenas are associated with also the evil stuff and the tails. But the most interesting story I like with regards to the hyenas is the tail. If you shake the tail of the hyenas when people are sleeping, I can promise you, Sally, those people are not going to wake up. You can even go into that house and cook when people are sleeping. They won't hear anything. You can even play music full blast. They're not going to hear anything. That is how strong the hyena's tail could be. So now let's go to David. Maybe he's still by the elephants, or he got something interesting on the other side of this African country.
Very good, Sydney, working with hyenas and getting hyenas this early. Most likely they could be looking for what could have been brought down last night by someone. But now we got a feathered friend here, and this is the lilac-breasted roller on a torchwood tree, or what we call the Balanitis aegyptiaca. Happens for all of you viewers, you have always heard me saying this is my favorite bird, and for any viewer joining us today, just to let you know, this is my favorite bird, the whole world, because of its many and different colors. She got very colorful bird, very small, and I have always guessed she got about anything between 6 to 7 different colors, which normally come out very well, especially when you see them in flight, or when you see them diving on the ground when they see something to feed on. Called rollers because when you see them mating, when you're lucky to see them mating, maybe a male and a female, they tend to mate while in the air, or rather they mate in the air, and you'd see them rolling up and down, different directions, different angles, and that's how they got the name rollers, or the lilac-breasted roller. They're very common in this area, and like most birds, you'll see them feeding on insects and sometimes seeds, but they tend to kill beetles. So you see them from where they are, like from where she is, she'll always fly down if she spots, for example, an insect, a beetle or a grasshopper or cricket or locust. She flies down, catches it, and then you see her squashing it just to make sure there are no like spikes from the legs that can hurt it as it's swallowing it. Then crushes the skeleton and then flies right back where she was, like where she is now. If you go back there, and you'll see her trying to swallow her kill. Once I saw a lilac-breasted roller eating a lizard, which was quite unusual. They rarely do that, and either she was very hungry or she couldn't get other insects to feed on. But it was teeny baby lizard that she killed. When you see them in flight, they're very, very colorful. Very difficult to tell males from females. We've got a few other rollers around here. As we enjoy that one, I'll show you we have another one that's much bigger than this. That's called the purple roller. It's much bigger than this. James, you just got those words out of my mouth. I was just saying we've got different species that we get here, and I was saying we have another one that's called the rufous crown roller, which is much bigger. And what a coincidence, I was just holding my book to show you that. And James, when we get a chance, I don't know how the lights today will behave. Hopefully going to behave better. Very good, excellent. Okay, sorry, got my head on the way there. Is that better, James? Yes. Excellent. So on top there, number one, if you look carefully, and my hand is on the way, top left, that's the broad-billed roller, top left. We see lots of that. And then if you look at the number 5 there, that number 5 is what I was saying earlier. That is the rufous roller, or the rufous crowned, or purple roller sometimes we call it. But every few months, and especially we are talking about the months of October, we'll get what we call the Eurasian roller. And it's also very beautiful roller there. James, can you see that? I don't know if you can see it. Number 3 there. See number 3 there? That's number 3 there. So that's the Eurasian roller. The lighting might not be very good, but hopefully you can see. And they'll always come and go in particular times of the year. They're not here throughout, but they're what you call Eurasian birds, coming in the country and then leaving, going back all the way to Europe for breeding. All right, so those are the main rollers we get here: the Eurasian, the rufous, and also the broad-billed. And the one we just saw here, which is the lilac-breasted roller, as we move on to see or to hunt for more animals. All righty. That guy might try and wave at me, just saying Jumbo. Baby, Mambo. Vicho bado, eh? Hapa. Hakuna kabisa. Sante. Alrighty, this is a morning greeting. Oh, sorry, James. Sorry, James, my apologies. Morning greeting, saying hello to friends of ours. And we've got particular people who always look for particular animals, and they always come here looking for what you call the big five. So the fellow just talking to, I want to see lions, and nothing else. Well, Taylor is tracking on the ground.
Well, I'm going to try to, but remember, you're probably going to have to teach me the tracks today. Good morning, my name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me is Jean-Dre, and of course, Rexon is back from his holiday. He's well rested, and he will be walking with us this morning. So we've pretty much just left camp. It's a beautiful morning. I feel like I'm very much overdressed in terms of having a jersey and long pants on. Jean-Dre is now nodding, going, yep, you're going to be hot by the end of walk. It is going to be a scorcher today, so I'm looking forward to the nice warm weather, perhaps a little pool party later. No, I doubt it. That's apparently for Saturday, when it's going to be 39 degrees Celsius, which, I don't know, probably high 90s, if not early 100 degrees. 102 degree Fahrenheit. That's going to be crazy. Wow. Okay, so we've got that to look forward to, so that'll be a lot of fun. So I haven't obviously been on a bushwalk for quite some time. It's very dry. There's like virtually no grass left, just a couple of little brown bits here and there. So I think we're going to look for spiders today. So I brought a spider book with me, and I'm hoping with the spider book, I don't know, we'll maybe be able to identify some of them. It's a very basic little book, but sometimes it's quite frustrating carrying a massive big book on walks, and you know me, I always like to bring some kind of a textbook out. So I'm going to be checking under bits of bark. I'm going to be looking on blades of grass. Maybe we'll see some orb spiders. They should still be around. Yeah. That's going to be the goal today. And well, any other little critters we can find, if we see some interesting tracks, as you know, of course we will stop and have a look. But anyways, Hosanna has been around, so that's exciting. We might bump into him. I know he was sleeping at the dam camp, or near the dam last night at some point, so he's probably around here somewhere, so we'll keep an eye out for him. I think we've probably got the best chance of finding him on foot this morning. I know you've all exclaimed, yay, that I'm on bushwalk, which makes me nervous. So we might have to try and find some big animals too, maybe some elephants, although there don't seem to be many passing through the reserve right now. So we'll just kind of see what we can find on this bushwalk, and hopefully it'll get really, really exciting. But anyways, I know that Sydney was also looking for leopards this morning, so perhaps we'll also give him a hand.
I just have got now some of the big birds in the area. I'm trying to investigate the reason for their presence here. You will see these big birds just now. Senzo, can we show them these lovely birds who will be enjoying the sunrise just now? So I've got the vultures here. Oh, the wallback. 3 of them. Can you see them all? Look at that. So that is the wallback vulture. They are here. I'm not too sure if maybe their presence is motivated by a kill in the area, or they're just here waiting to enjoy the sunrise. So these birds can be able to fly very far, and they can travel long distance. Some of them has been recorded sleeping on flight. That's amazing. So they are waiting to see the thermal. These birds, they've got a very good eyesight. You can see another one right at the back there. So their eyesight can be able to detect thermal, which is something very, very difficult to see. So they normally target the bare patches on the ground. That is where mostly the thermal builds up, and they see it going up and they catch it. So these birds also assist in order to clean the vegetation because they prevent quite a lot of spread of diseases. They feed on carrion, so the dead rotten meat they eat. So it helps us when it comes to the spread of diseases. Look at this very big bird, well equipped, but cannot hunt for themselves. They've got to rely on the other animals' remains. I was once chased by a vulture. So what happened is that I found these vultures, they were doing some water bath, and I was checking one of them. To me, it was looking like it's injured. And then I went just to check. I wanted to report that we have got an injured vulture. As I went there, that vulture started chasing me. But before that, the vulture started vomiting. And this vulture was vomiting some kind of yellow stuff. And after that started chasing me. Then I realized that this vulture had quite a lot in the stomach, wanted to reduce the weight so that it can be able to run away or to chase me. And I did not manage to get closer than that because I saw that it's active because it had to chase me for a couple of meters. Still, I can't hear any sign of Tingana making noise in this area. But here is where I'm hoping to see him. The chances are very high that sowing was not coming from far. My favorite bird, that's quite a very interesting question. My favorite bird is the spotted eagle owl. It's just that the spotted eagle owls, I'm not seeing them a lot here in Juma. That is my favorite bird. Look at those vultures and the sun starting to come out now. This is an amazing sunrise. You can even see that the bird now is going. So you just want to see where that vulture is going. It's not going. Yeah, the vulture did not go very far. Just moved from this tree to the other tree, not very far away. So it means now it's going to position itself for basking the sun. So the other two are facing the direction of the sun at the moment. So I'm going to carry on now and see if we can pick up some of the fresh tracks or find the animal itself, Tingana. So now let's go to the Masai Mara. David is also driving around trying to get you something interesting there.
Well, this is one day that I'm out with an open mind and I'm trying to look for anything that might come our way. Yesterday while out, I was looking for a particular pride of lions that we call the marsh pride that the day before had brought down a buffalo. And so interesting that it disappeared and we did not have a trace of them. And not even the vultures, the area they killed or they brought down that buffalo, there were no signs of even hyenas or any vultures in that area, which was rather unusual. Either because it could have been a bit cool when they brought it down, or I have a feeling most likely they dragged the buffalo right into the thickets. And lions sometimes have been known to scratch the ground and try to bury or cover their kill with some soil just to keep it fresh and making sure it doesn't send any smell out there in the air. Well, we've got some elephants here. I don't know how close, James, you think these elephants are. See that small herd of elephants there? So today maybe I might be doing all the big animals. did some two bulls this morning, and the small little had, or maybe a mother with her two youngsters there in the background. Time also for balloons to go up in the air. Very good, very good. I would be more than happy to swing by that area and find out how waffles, how the hyenas are doing. Yesterday, Brent was out there and he told me they have changed their den one more time. So that sounds like a good plan, and I'll be heading that direction to find out where exactly they are. I do not know why Waffle has to keep... For those who may not have or may not know, Waffle is a particular matriarch of a hyena clan that we call the Northern clan, and she is the leader there. She got two cubs as far as I'm concerned, and we have been following her for so many months, especially the girl called Jamie Patterson have been following her for so many months. So we might be heading that direction, find out, because I haven't seen her myself with her two cubs. I've only seen her once, and having said that, I think it's time to head to that direction. Okay, hyenas certainly just saw some, so we might be happy to see the actual waffles herself as the queen of that area, and if we are lucky, you might see her with her two cubs. Okay, it's quite a distance from here, but I'm sure we'll make it, and maybe on the way there we'll see lots of other animals too. It's getting much warmer now, and I might be putting one layer down. Linda Antelope babies. James, when did we see the toppies? Yesterday morning. Yesterday morning we were so lucky, and I remember there's a viewer who said we had a little like nursery or kindergarten or baby care for toppies. We had about, I think, 6 or 8, calves of toppies, and that was one of my great sightings. Hopefully we might see more today. Remember saying toppies, when they have their young ones, when you look at the colors of their calves compared to the adults, they are very, very different. And they are animals or antelopes where they gain different colors as they grow old. Just like some eagles. We were talking of, say, martial eagle, for example, or the Bartleya eagle, where the young ones have very different colors from the adults. All right, let's find out what Taylor has for now. How beautiful is that? Don't you think that that's absolutely spectacular? Chandra and I will now be forming a choir. Is that we're doing choir? We look. Chandra will be head vocals. I know, yeah. He's going to now start singing "Put a Banana in Your Ear." I was surprised that didn't get roped into that. So, I've discovered today how quiet the bush actually is. This is spectacular on a bushwalk. So, we've said to Rexon that we need to find some big game. So that's exactly what we're going to try and do. Scrap the spiders. There aren't any, but if we do see one or two here and there, we'll probably have a look at them. So what we're going to do now is we've decided we can probably just check watering holes. So it's so open, and all the big pathways, which we're on one of them at the moment, will lead to water at some point. And it'll join into another. It might actually go down into a drainage line first. So I think we're just going to follow them, see if we can pick up on any interesting tracks, and then hopefully we will get an elephant sighting of some sort. But looked like someone was actually digging here a little while ago. Can you see this? Well, you can see it's quite old. There's lots of leaves that have now... Oh, now I'm keying my mic. So let me try that again. So you can see that something was digging in here at some point. Because it's such a sort of triangular shape over here, it could have been from a porcupine, maybe digging for roots. There are a bit of the grass roots just sticking out. I don't know if it would have been an aardvark. It doesn't look like there's any termite mounds or any ants or anything like that it would necessarily been feeding on. So probably a porcupine just running down this pathway
and not catching, because roots don't run away, unless it's that tree in East Africa that migrates. No, I'm joking, that doesn't exist either. That's just a made-up thing. So it would be quite nice to see some porcupine tracks. Who knows, maybe we'll end up making it down towards Nyala Road north or south, which we know is a good area to find those animals. See, again, look, here's another one. So that's what they just do. I'm going to go ahead and say it was probably, although here's a termite mound, hang on, or ants actually. This looks like ants were living here. You can see little holes, the ground is quite compact, and maybe this time round it started digging, but maybe the mound has sort of, I suppose, not in use anymore. But the ground is perfect for seeing tracks, so maybe as we go along, we'll see some interesting ones. Jonathan, I 100% enjoy, I think, safaris on foot more. Just at this time of the year, it can be quite difficult. And my favorite time to do safaris on foot is probably, I suppose it's spring now, but after we get our first decent rain. So if we can get, rain, and we have about between 50 and 80 mils of rain, a couple of weeks later, normally the grass starts to follow, all the flowers start to come out for the first time, and then the insect life basically regenerates itself all over again. So I find that particularly fascinating, watching a variety of insects mating or seeing their eggs and watching, I suppose, them develop over the next couple of months. That for me is quite exciting. But this time of the year is incredible. It's the best time to do walking safaris when you're trying to find big game, because it's open, it's easier to spot things, and it's a lot more pleasant to walk. We don't have to wear the gaiters, that we have covering our shoes to protect our socks and shoes from all grass seeds and things like that prick us and poke us. So that's also quite nice. And the grass is also not wet, so you don't get soggy socks. No one likes the soggy sock, that's for sure. So I'm just still having a look. Lots of diggings around here. No, Dory, actually I'm not concerned about ticks at all, because at this time of the year the ticks are not breeding. Again, it's rainy season that most of these insects and things will start to lay their eggs and would have been mating. So I reckon as we walk along these animal pathways, this is typically where you would see something like a tick sitting. It's just on the edge of a piece of grass, or even on this side. See how it's hanging over onto the pathway, so that if an animal does walk past it, it'll brush up on its leg. The tick will then transfer from the blade of grass onto the animal, probably go into sort of groin area or a spot that's sort of hidden away where they can maybe, well, I suppose, start feeding. So we'll look out for a couple of ticks, but I doubt we're going to be seeing very many of them. You hear the guinea fowl, but we know what guinea fowl are like too. They're just calling in the distance. They might be at the pan. Maybe they're just going down for a drink. Typically, the guinea fowl, they'll come down from where they've roosted. They'll have a drink in the morning. They normally have a drink in the afternoon as well, before they go back up into their trees. Nah, I also hear some francolins and things calling. It doesn't sound too serious, so perhaps they're just getting excited for the morning. Right, so we will carry on. I'm trying to think I haven't seen much around here. This is where the wild dogs ran through yesterday. They were just down over there, and they sort of ran across here back towards Ingwe Alley. So we'll see if we can find some of those wild dog tracks along the way. And yesterday, I suppose I better give you an update. Little Leo Smith, as you know, who's Dylan, Brent's younger brother, we always keep in contact in terms of finding sightings. And obviously we helped him out with a wild dog sighting yesterday. So yesterday afternoon late, remember it was my plan to have sundowners at Chitwa, but of course we spent the afternoon with the young Prince Hosanna, which was fantastic. But apparently those dogs came back from Torchwood, went onto Chitwa open area, and then they came running back north. And I know that there were calls that were heard on the dam cam this morning, so they could also be around here. So as we're walking, we have got the upper hand to hear them if they're trying to communicate with one another. And from all the stories that I've been hearing around camp, it sounds like that Sabi breakaway male has a bit of a trouble trying to keep up with those girls. So maybe he lost them again. Maybe it was him calling, trying to find the rest of his newly established pack. Who knows? So we will definitely keep an ear out. Right, now you spent the afternoon with the North Clan yesterday with Brent. It seems as though David is going to be doing the same thing, and maybe today the little ones will come out.
One big difference of the Mara and Juma Conservation Area, it's the openness of the Mara. When you look here, it's very easy to see game or wildlife from a long way. Unlike in Juma, where sometimes you have to get very close to the animal to be able to spot it. Here we have that one big advantage, that the open savanna gives you the benefit of just not struggling a lot, just to turn around and you're able to spot something. So as I said earlier, my destination now is to the den, where we have a particular clan, a group of hyenas that we call the Northern Clan, and we have followed them for so very many months. There's one particular leader, one female that we call the Wafos, that has done tremendously well to lead the whole group of the clan. Once in a while you'll see them either out here coming for a drink or scavenging for what predators might have killed, the night before, but also not forgetting hyenas as predators themselves. They're very, very successful hunters. People have always mistaken hyenas for scavengers. Laura, with a choice, and if my boss would allow me, I will always want to be out in the morning. In the morning, I would be out even as early as 4 o'clock until maybe 10, 11 o'clock, when it gets warm and all the animals tend to slow down. In the afternoon, I like just sitting around and watching my other colleagues doing the drive. So, Laura, with a choice, mornings, I feel, or I tend to operate better. My brain tends to think straight, and I'm always more alert. And I remember when I was a small kid, my mother would tell me, like, when it comes to 5, 6, 7 o'clock, my brain would stop to function. And she made sure that I ate dinner very early, and she would tell me, out of here, go to bed. I don't know, but yeah, Laura, with the choice, mornings are my better working times than in the afternoon. But also, let me see whether James can catch that. James, are you able to catch that in flight? Or is it too fast? Sorry, there's a hammock up there that was in flight. Very good. Hammock that was trying to chase a little lapwing down there. You see this? Very good, James. Well done. Are you going to land, hammock? Excellent. We can't see you, but thank you for landing. Maybe we're going to see you in a few seconds. But I believe, and I'm sure most of you will agree with me, the animals tend to be more active in the morning than in the afternoon. If you look at the activity, or when we catch more interesting sightings, for me, I think there is more in the mornings than in the afternoon. Let's find out if we're going to see this Habakkuk as we head out to look for the waffles. Anybody behind us, James? Nobody? Where did she land, James? Can you see her? She landed somewhere here. Oops, there's a lot of... do I back up, James, because of the shadow of the car? Back up? Yes. Okay. We got like a party of birds here. We got hammock, we got starlings. Is that good? Or back up a little bit? Alrighty. Not sure you can see her very well, but that's the hammock that just landed there. And feeding on any living organism in that area. Any crustaceans there, any mollusks, any frogs. And funny, so close are some starlings, and they're definitely having a go for each other. Sometimes you say in the bush, the survival for the fittest. And the hammerkop being much bigger, I guess it's the glossy starling, blue-eared glossy starling, being much bigger than that starling, she definitely has the advantage. They'll fish, they'll eat frogs, any mollusks, any insect in that water. That's what the hammerkop will feed on. And because of their long beaks, sometimes we'll see them digging much deeper there, which I think their longer beaks gives them a big advantage than the starlings, which don't have as long beaks. This one has a longer and I guess a stronger beak. And they're well adapted to feed in water than the starlings. Starlings basically are not, I would say, waterfowls or water birds. They tend to be out in drier areas. But again, if this is where food is, they are here. They tend to be more on trees or in dry country where they'll get, of course, insects and other seeds to feed on. But the hammercrops mainly will feed in any wet area. They've got nothing to do with seeds. And I do not know what exactly they're feeding on, but there's a commonality there with these birds here having a party together. Otherwise, it could be rather difficult to see them together if there's nothing they're enjoying as a group. Very unusual pairing to see the hammercop and starling feeding together. I'm not sure what the other bird on the right hand is. Looks a little darker than the starling. Could be another starling too. Yeah, could be two starlings. And the hammercop. Look at the head of that hammercop there. And that's how it got the name hammercop. It looks like a hammer. And I think it originally is a Dutch word. See the long beak? So that gives us the advantage to dig through the mud and scoop, be it frogs, or fish, or any crustaceans, any water organism there. And some of them, they're too small. You're just picking them and swallowing them right straight. Unlike the lilac-breasted roll I was talking about before, where when they get the insects, be they beetles, they crush them, the exoskeleton before they swallow them. Here, she seems to be like grab, catch, and swallow. Normally going in pairs, the hammercrops, but this particular one is alone at the moment. So they'll use their feet also to dig. They've got not very long claws, but also that helps them to reach the food or whatever they're hunting. So the best mating dance of the birds that I think of, for me, I would say the ostrich. The ostrich, I have seen hammercrops mating. I have seen lilac-breasted, mating in the air. I was just talking before as they roll. But I would tell you, Sarah, the best mating dance I know or have seen are from the ostriches, especially from the Maasai ostrich. I mean, and more so the girls than the boys, because the females will always have to excite the males, and you might get 2, 3, 4 females with one male, and to me the best dancer always tends to win the male. So the ostriches have the best courting or mating dance of all the birds I know. I want to reposition a little bit and see if we can. Yeah, I think that James thinks we are still at the best place there for that hammercop. I just wish you can raise what she's eating out of the ground, because it's like she's digging it, either using the feet and the beak and even swallowing it before she puts her head up. You can see how busy the legs are. So the legs are digging the organisms up or any crustaceans there, and she's just picking them very quickly and swallowing them. We see her eating so fast. Sometimes we've seen animals eating quickly when they're worried of other animals coming to snatch their food. I do not know why she has to eat that fast. I haven't seen birds eating that quickly. Normally with availability of food, you just take your time and dig whatever you want, or you get there and just swallow slowly. But this one seems to be like in a rush to feed her crop. Look at that, how she's swallowing. Not many birds will chew what they eat, and that's why you notice having crops will always help them to first pre-digest the food before going through the other system, making it a little softer, which may relate to the animals that do ruminate. I would wonder what's the relationship between rumination and birds having a crop where they'll store maybe food that they eat first before going to the other digestive areas. Alright, Hammer Cup, we'll leave you enjoying your meal. Hopefully your partner will be joining you soon as we move on to find out if we'll see the wafus. Anna Marie, Hammer Cups, just to let you know, make the largest nest. Look at the size of that bird, Anna Marie. But I have seen nests made by these little birds that could be about 2 meters in diameter. Huge, massive nests. And what is interesting is the materials they use to make the nest. And they'll have sticks, they'll have logs, they'll have grass. And occasionally we see them even having computer parts. We see them having blankets. And a friend of mine told me sew a hammercup nest with human hair. That was interesting. The only thing my friend did not tell me whether was it real human hair or artificial, but he told me he thought it was true human hair. Where they get them, I do not know. But just to answer you again, I do not know of any other birds that make as large nests like hammercups. Hammercups make the largest nest possible in the world. They're small birds, and not sure why they have to make so big nests, being so big. But I haven't seen other birds, there are a few other birds that will use their nest, but the most interesting animal I have ever seen trying to occupy or patronize a hammercup nest was a leopard. We were out somewhere, having a little cocktail, and we sat below a huge acacia tree, and there was a hammercup nest on top. And when we sat there, one of the guests felt something moving on top of the nest, and we didn't know what it was. Just to find out much later on, it was a leopard cub. That was interesting. And talking of leopards, as we move on, we want Sydney to see whether he'll get us a leopard today before maybe I get my own. All right.
Yes, I am still here looking for these leopards. They're not here where the sowing was coming from. So I'm now going to go up towards the central part of the game reserve. Maybe I might be lucky in that area, and also check where the last sighting was for Tandy. So I'm just going to try and hit 2 birds with 1 stone. So also Hosanna's tracks are not here. So all these cats are hiding. So Elisa, I didn't get your question well, but I heard you asking if the prey can be able to see the cars. The prey animals don't see these vehicles as their predators. So they are very much settled every time we interact with them here. So only the predators, they can be able to read and see these cars, but they cannot see us in the car. When I'm seated like this in this car, predators and all these prey, they see us as one object. They see me as part of the car. So the prey, they don't run away when we come to these areas. It's only the hyena tracks here, the tracks of the hyenas that we saw earlier. So the prey animals can only associate, they can start to associate vehicles with the killings in the areas whereby they are hunting activities. That is where when they pick up a noise from the vehicle, they think about death. So but whereby predation is taking place normally, so the prey don't associate us with those kind of killings. Yeah, there's some tracks here, but they're not clear. After the rain, it's very much difficult to see the tracks because the rain killed all the dust, and this dust, they help me because they develop very fresh and nice, good-looking tracks. But now, it's only on the road where I can see the tracks. Off the road is difficult because the soil is compacted. So now let's go to Taylor and see how the bushwalk is doing this morning.
Chandra has almost just fallen over, I'll just have you know. It's going a little bit, it's a bit slow in terms of like looking for all the smaller things and like that, but that's to be expected. Yeah, I've just seen something, but I don't know what it is down there. Oh, it's an impala. It's quite far away, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but pretty much 12 o'clock. Can you see the big dead tree? Well, it's not dead, I think it's just lost its leaves. Just below it, there is an impala ewe staring straight towards us. That's very cool. So she's obviously heard us talking. Maybe she's picked up on our scent, but we haven't been particularly quiet as we've been walking around because we've just been discussing all sorts of wonderful things out here. Now, I don't think she'll feel threatened by us. There's a whole drainage system, so she's got a natural barrier, so she'll feel quite safe. She's just going to watch us, though. There might be a whole herd of impala around there. Maybe they'll even start alarming at us. But from this distance, actually, I don't think so at all. Ooh, spider webs. Linda, we can see snakes at any time of the year. Sorry, I'm walking because I've seen spider webs that are backlit at the moment. So obviously on the cooler days, and this is the thing about the reptiles here in South Africa, is they're not going into permanent hibernation. It never gets that cold. So they go into a temporary state where they'll basically be dormant when it's cooler, and you'll find them up and moving around once the weather sort of gets a bit warmer than about 21 degrees Celsius. And then the snakes and things come out onto the roads at night to absorb the heat. I saw spider webs that were backlit. I think I might have to take a step back, and I got excited. Oh, they're so tiny. It's actually really not much at all. But there must be a little spider living around here, or maybe, I don't even think you'll be able to see it. It's tiny little webs. I don't even know what spiders they would. Just see some of them just catching the light every now and then, says Kirst. So I don't know what little spider it is. It actually doesn't look like there's anything that's been trapped in any of these tiny little webs. So perhaps they are just leftovers that have survived. They almost look like they're covered in a fine dust. And you won't normally see that with an active spider web that's constantly keeping it clean and maintaining all the little strings attaching to the branches. So there actually isn't any spiders. But it's a good thing to do. Once you see little webs like that, it's a good idea. Come and have a look around on the branches and underneath, in between where all the stems are. But there aren't any here. Penny pine, I'm not a huge fan of spiders, actually. They're not my favorite, but I totally love jumping spiders. I think the zebra jumping spider is my favorite. It's black and white, as you can imagine, and it's quite a big one. And we see them in camp quite often, and they're really cool. They're not really too perturbed about people. They're actually quite inquisitive. If you put your hand out, they'll often jump onto your hand. Not that they're going to run up your sleeve and bite you or anything like that, but just really sort of quite nice to interact with the spider. And they're not big, hairy and scary, you know, like something like a rain spider or a baboon spider. I would not pick up. No, thank you. Even then I'll take a step back away from them. But the jumping spiders I quite like, so any of them. And I think I post a lot of pictures of our jumping spiders. There's this photographer, I think he's been going into Madagascar, and he's obviously got an incredible macro lens, and he just captures these little jumping spiders so beautifully. Massive eyes, as you can imagine. They're all bug-like. They do look really, really cute. And just sort of sitting there. What is that animation, that little spider? Do you know what I'm talking? There's a little animation about a jumping spider. It's very sweet. I can't remember what the little jumping spider's name is, though. Anyways, look at this. The only plants that are green are all the guarries. So there's a variety of different species of guarri trees, but no berries on these ones. Nothing. Very sad. The only green that we'll be seeing today. But it seems as though David is not looking for spiders, but instead he's finding things that sit up in the trees that maybe like to eat them.
Thanks. Well, from spiders to feathered friends, and we got another party of birds here, and hopefully one day we'll get to the waffles, the northern clan of hyenas I was talking about. But every time we move, we spot birds and we stop, because it's always very interesting in the morning, especially to see them feeding in these wetlands. We got two species at the moment there. The one that's very busy eating now, that's called the sacred ibis. The sacred ibis. And not sure whether you can hear in the background the Egyptian geese. So that particular one here is the ibis, the sacred ibis. And we have seen another big party here, because if James got a pan out shortly, you'll see we got 3, 4, almost 5 different species. The big one now you see there, that is the grey heron. That's a grey heron. And I'm sure James is going to be bringing more of them. And they have one big commonality here, food. And all of them are feeding on the aquatic invertebrates, be it fish, shrimps, frogs, any worms in the water. And also the hammerkop we had before. James, can you see the hammerkop in the foreground? It's there. That's our fourth species. And they're all within a radius of 10 meters square. And again, you know, the hammerkops feeding on the same. They just disturb the water, and anything that moves, they'll pick it up. And then to the left of them all, we have the Egyptian geese. As much as they'll not be eating a lot, if you move, very good, Jim, thank you very much. A lot of aquatic, you know, invertebrates here, they'll be doing a lot of seeds. But once in a while, all birds are, I would say, are omnivores. You can hear that one calling there. I guess that could be the male. I hope you can hear it calling. Sometimes it could be a mating call, not very sure, but the one feeding. Thank you very much. Find the control, can you hear it? And he, I guess if that's the male, is trying to pass some message, the one feeding, or trying to communicate. But the other one on the right there, she doesn't look bothered. I'm just guessing that's the male. Males being slightly bit larger in size, than the females. So this one, like, you keep talking there. I'm hungry, I need to keep eating. And then there's a yellow-billed stork. If James, you move slightly bit to the right, it's not very clear. We're just coming to the right. Sorry, Cass, what did Trash say? Thank you, Trash. You're enjoying that sound. And birds of this size, I think the Egyptian geese have the best calls, because if you listen to it, it's a bit musical. Can you hear that again? It's very well coordinated, so it doesn't sound like some birds, you know, when they just make calls that don't sound very good. But the Egyptian geese, I would agree with you. Only I wish I could understand what actually they mean or they say when they keep James, I was talking about the yellow-billed. There's another stork. We can't see it very well, but slowly, if you point to the right, James, if you move to the right, keep going. This is a huge party here, and hopefully this water will remain here for a long time to keep these birds here, that every time we come we'll always get them here. There's the sacred ibis. Keep moving to the right. There's another stock there that we call, yes, that's the grey heron. Keep going. Yes, keep going, James. There's another stock, that one there. Very well done. And that's the yellow-billed stock. Thank you, James. It's the yellow-billed stock. Sometimes we call this stock the wood stock because of the color of its beak. And I'm looking at all the 5 different species. I think she has the biggest advantage in terms of foraging with such a long beak, long legs. And I think what sometimes they do, they use their legs, either they have feelers below their legs, and they can, you see how it's moving the left leg. So either they can sense some food there, and then they just push it, and they just spike the food using the beak like a spear. And I think that gives them big advantage, that they're able to sense where there could be some invertebrate down in the water where they can't see, basically. And once they locate it, they'll just throw the neck forward and the beak right straight to where they sensed or where they felt the, you know, the insect or the invertebrate or the aquatic organism there, and they pick it up with the beak. Such a great sighting to have all these birds peacefully, and everybody have, you know, his or her space, eating. They're not fighting over each other. James, there's another one right here. I don't know how well we can see the one here. This is the 6th species here, and this is the African jacana. I don't know, James, you can see it. If you're in a good angle, it's one rare bird that we don't see as frequently. Very good. And I apologize for having promised to go to the waffles, the hyenas, but it's getting interesting here. This is called the African jacana. Very small bird, but huge feet, and they tend to walk on the water. And I remember when I was in college, my lecturer used to tell me, if you forget the name of this bird, if they give you a test or an exam, you can call it the Jesus bird. And that comes from when, you know, Jesus walked on the water, for those who read the Bible. And they got wide feet, and that way they can comfortably, as you can see there, excuse me, walking on the water without sinking. We see the polyandrous having one male with so many females. That's the African jacana. And the party getting bigger. James, if you go back to the Egyptian geese now, both of them are now calling. Ray, I will not lie to you and tell you why they are white. I have no idea. And thinking for survival, I do not know. The sacred ibis are white. The yellow-billed stock are white. And we also saw a bit of white in the African jacana. And the hammercop is dark. And looking at the Egyptian geese are dark. I wouldn't know for a fact, because being white to me is not good. They would expose themselves. Looking at eagles, the big birds like eagles that will always come and prey on the smaller birds, I don't think that's an advantage. So I would say white, you know, exposes them to danger. So I wouldn't know for a fact, Ray, to tell you why they are white, but I would say white color is not good. That makes them very vulnerable to the would-be predators or raptors. Look at the Egyptian geese there, Ray. They're brownish, dark in color. And I'd say they tend to blend in very well when they're on the ground. But if, James, you go back to the sacred ibis or those white birds, I mean, from a distance, it's very easy to see them. I once saw a martial eagle flying right straight to a sacred ibis that was feeding just near some wetland. And it landed on it and it crushed it. You know, I would say the white is no good to them. Maybe that's how Mother Nature have designed these birds. All right, sacred ibis, the grey heron, the Egyptian geese, the hammercop, the African jacana. This is one of the biggest parties I've seen of birds together, 6. And there's 1/7 species that we saw that disappeared. I guessed that was a small lapwing, 3-banded plover. Sorry, it was not a lapwing, it was a 3-banded plover. I can't see it now, but in total, I would have assumed we had 7 pairs of, or 7 species of birds in the same area. Let me go chance if we are lucky to see the waffles, but in the meantime, we'll take you all the way to South Africa with my other brother, Sydney.
I have just been to the Buffalo's Hook Dam in order to see if I can find some tracks in that area, but there is no tracks at all. It seems like these animals are somewhere deep in the thick bushes. They are not going in and out. I'm trying now the Guaripen area and see if maybe I will be lucky with some of the tracks coming out in that area. There's quite a lot of rhino tracks on the road. James, those kind of celebrations, previously we used to have them. We used to have these kind of ceremonies in order to celebrate, and by those celebrations we used to have quite a lot of different cultural dances. I was part of some of these cultural dances, and I used to lead the dancing for the boys. For many years I was leading, if not dancing in front, I will be drumming, wearing my traditional dress. Sometimes wearing the some of the animal skins, very old animal skins. So when it comes to seasons such as the spring, I am going to show you the dance one day, then you will see what I'm talking about. So when it comes to this, they say? Yeah. Oh, Senzo spotted. Oh, there's a leopard. Yeah, I've got a leopard on top of the termite mound. Thank you, Senzo, for spotting that leopard. I can see him. Oh, we got the spotted cat now. Senzo has got a very good eyesight. So I can see the leopard is just here in front of us. Oh yeah, Senzo's got leopard eyes. Yeah, I can see here we've got a lovely leopard. You can see that the leopard hunt has been successful after a very long time. This search started yesterday. So you can see that this leopard is excited by something. So I just want to check the nose, if it's Hosanna. So the easiest way to recognize, to distinguish between Hosanna and this other leopard, I check the nose. Hosanna's nose is still quite very pink. Senzo with the leopard eyes is confirming that it's Hosanna. You can see the necklace. So Hosanna doesn't like to look at this side, I can see. He doesn't want to look at my side. So you can see that Osana is enjoying the sun at the moment. It has been very much cold. It's only now that it's starting to get warm. You can see the reflection of the sun there on these roseate spots. You can see, I wanted to see what he's trying to investigate, because you can see these ears are moving. You can be able to swivel these ears. Yeah, you can see the pink nose now. That is Osana. He's very much inquisitive. You can see that. And it's moving very fast. Look at that. You can see the ears. Osana is becoming a favorite to quite a lot of people. This cat, this little chief, is lovely. And I like the way how he does things. So, but these days he's not coming to the butchery anymore. There by the big jackalberry. He's not attending to his butchery. So you can see that it's very easy. These kind of cats can be able to swivel the ears. Trish, unfortunately, how Osana is lying there is very much difficult to see the bellies. So that is something I want to see if there is something in the stomach, so that we can maybe predict his activities for the day. Senso, these kind of cats can be able to swivel the ears around, which is very much difficult. All I can do with my ears, just like this. There were some animals feeding not very far away from Osana as we were approaching, but I can't see them from here where I am now. And I'm sure that is what Osana was looking at. So I will be here in order to see what Osana is planning to do. But for now, we can head to the guided walk and see what Taylor is looking for.
Lions. That's what we will be looking for now. So how's that? We've gone from spiders to looking at the sun to webs and tracks. Hopefully we're going to find some lions. So there was just a report on the radio that lions have crossed in from the west. And yesterday afternoon I'd mentioned to you that the Nkuhuma Pride had been spotted somewhere between Arathusa and Elephant Plains. Now we know that's just a stone throw away. It's actually not very far for a pride of lions to walk. So Rexon is up in front, and he says typically what the Nkuhumas have done in the past, if they don't come this way, they normally cut through the drainage line and then they end up around on Philemon's cut line. So I think we're navigating to end up down that side, and hopefully we'll find them. They're quite cool to walk. Look what's up top here in this tree. Well, it's a buffalo thorn, but it's got nothing more. There's a nest. You can see it's made of grass, and that's probably been created by a waxbill. they typically make grass nests, and they also like to put them in thorny trees like this. So any of those small birds, from the little waxbills to the firefinches, it's so important that they have some kind of protection, because that nest is really not going to do much. It's just made of grass. I mean, it's very easy for something like a serval or a caracal to get inside it, or even a monitor or anything else that might be wanting to eat eggs. But up on this buffalo thorn, it's virtually impossible for something like a serval or a caracal or African wildcat. It's also quite high up, so it's in a good position. And I don't think we'll be seeing any rock monitors trying to climb up this tree. Now, it doesn't look like much now, because you think, but that's really silly. It's out in the open. But remember, the buffalo thorn does get quite a dense coverage on it, and when this tree would have leaves on it, I don't think you'd see it as easily. And birds are not laying eggs right now, well, I don't think, with the waxbills, so I think that's just an old nest, which is quite cool, up top there. Indigo Girl, you've said it is beautiful. It is. It's very pretty, and that's why I also like winters, that yes, everything disappears and it becomes a little bit more harsh for the herbivores, but we get to see things like this which we normally wouldn't see. Let's see what's happening here. Now, all of you know, when you do approach a burrow in the ground, don't go straight towards the entrance. So I'm just going to climb up the side, because this looks like it is active. I'm going to go that way around. I'm going to come down now. Sorry, I've just run across. I've ruined it. I'm inexperienced. Sorry, Jean-Andre. Okay, so this is a better way to approach it. And it actually looks like there's probably warthogs that have been living in here. But the sun has been up for quite some time. I don't think that there'd be any warthogs in here right now. Very clean, no spider webs, not that they're very many to make, but I can see tiny little square hooves, which I'm not going to go and stand down there just in case, but you can kind of see at the entrance here that there's little indentations in the sand, and that's from the warthogs just moving in and out. I'd love to go inside and see the entire network system. Yeah. Okay. Chandра's going, go on, get in. Kirsten has also said, why don't I fall in? Oh, I must crawl in. That's from Conrad. Okay. Probably not. I probably won't. Also, I don't think I'd fit in there anyways. I'd get wedged, and then all you'd see me is flailing with my legs out, which actually could be quite entertaining. Maybe I should go and do it. No. Can you imagine if I started leopard crawling on in and a warthog wing? And then, like, you know that thing warthogs do when they get a fright, and then they make... Conrad's had a bowl of funny for breakfast this morning. He says that I'd then fly out. I wouldn't have to worry about crawling out. You're quite right. John Ray might actually just grab me by my leg and pull me on out. No, you'd leave me in there. So, I don't even know where we are. We are at Treehouse Dam, eh? We're at Treehouse Dam. That's where we are. Had Jean Ray to whisper that very subtly, and now he's cackling at me. I have no idea. I was like, what crater is this over here? And looking down in that direction. But because it's so dry, it looks completely different. Anyways, we're going to head down there and then probably link back around to Philemon's cut line to try and find the lions or any sign of them. Let's go to a very sleepy Hosanna.
You can see now Hosanna is resting at the moment. You can see he's sleeping as if we found him sleeping like that. It's not like it's the same Hosanna that we saw up trying to investigate something earlier. But the ears are still moving when the eyes are closed. You can see that, look at that. This animal was sleeping, but have you seen how fast he reacted? You can see that these cats can be very fast. So, but still, I can't see the bellies. So he's hiding the bellies. He doesn't want anybody to predict his action plan from now. So the pink nose. So the pink nose shows that this leopard is still very young, as when they get to 8 years is when the nose starts to change and gets dark. So I will be here, but now let's go back to David, who's got a lovely hyena feeding.
Well, from one spotted predator to another spotted predator, that one was a bit sleepy. This one here is more active. And we finally got to the Waffles, the Northern Clan den area. And I'm not sure who this one is, but you can tell she is having her best time in the world. I was talking earlier of hyenas being very successful predators, and there have always been this misconception that hyenas are only scavengers. They'll have to wait for lions and cheetahs and leopards to hunt, and then they go either snatch the food from them or they go finish on what's left behind. But the last few minutes have been, searching this area and looking everywhere. I have not seen a sign of any other predator. So my guess is this hyena or this hyena and others brought this prey down. Not very sure who it was, but I'm thinking this could have been a wildebeest. If you look in the background, chances are it could be one of these wildebeest that was brought down. The migration, when it comes to this part of the Mara, comes with a lot of ups, downs, life and death, and not all of them that will always make the circle. Did you see something there? Okay, it was just a bush. But we have hundreds of wildebeest around, zebras too. Those are the two main species of animals that will do the 2,700 plus miles of the journey to complete a whole cycle of migration. So not all that will make it. Some will lose their lives as they try to cross the Mara River, or some break their legs, or some will suffer drought, or some will suffer disease on the way. But some of them, like what we have here, will be brought down by so many predators, including the hyenas. Very good job, James. Ellie's in the background, if I'm not wrong. And we got some vultures flying, and I'm sure they'll be trying to sneak in to the kill. Jerry, how are you? And I would say the hyenas here and the hyenas in Juma, I would say they're the same. This particular species of hyenas, we call them the spotted hyenas. We got a different type of two other species, the brown hyena and the striped hyena. But the ones I saw most while I was in Juma were the same ones here, the spotted hyena, which we have here. But I would say their behavior is the same. I wouldn't say some are more aggressive than others. But once in a while, what I've found out is the hyenas here, especially in the Northern Clan where we are, or what you're watching now, if lions, for example, there's a pride of lions here that we call the owinos. I have seen a pack of 10 hyenas. Once the owinos make a kill, very, very quickly they go there and snatch the kill from them. So to me, they have the same behavior. I wouldn't say the ones here are aggressive than the ones in Juma. The ones in Juma, there's a time, I can't remember whether it was Tingana, a leopard called Tingana, or Hosanna that we're just watching, that had a kill, and they came, they harassed Tingana or Hosanna, and then it had to raise it up the tree, and they still tried to intimidate it from there to drop the kill, and the leopard very quickly came down and took off. So yeah, I would say they're more or less of the same behavior. I want to reposition and move forward a little bit. The hyena has dragged the kill behind the bush, so the one that was eating has moved away, but this is the youngster that has come. So let's find out what the youngster wants to do now. Whether the fully grown one has left behind the kill to the young one. Sometimes they do that and see if the young one is enjoying the breakfast like the one that was eating before. So we're going to take an angle here. James, let me know what's good for you. That's good. Keep going. Let me know when to stop. That's good. James likes it there. And yes, I was right. My guess was what they were eating was wildebeest, or what used to be a wildebeest. I can now see the head, and if you look at this guy here, he's much smaller in size than the previous one, but you can see the strength in her. enjoy your meal. Bon appetit. From the redness or the color of the blood, that tells you this kill was this morning. It's so fresh, you can tell from the ribs there, or what the blood clotting looks like. Could have been 4 or 5 in the morning. And as they said earlier, I haven't seen any sign of other predators around, so these hyenas of the northern clan must have done the job of bringing the wildebeest down. Now, with the choice, I would want you to eat and stop dragging, the kill. Where are you taking it? What are you trying to do? Maybe she's trying to reach on some softer part, and maybe being young, not having as strong teeth like the adults. But you can see lots of fresh on it, not having any good reason to keep moving it. You can see the teeth coming out there. Some of the predators that I know have the strongest jaws in the world. Apart from the crocodiles, hyenas got very strong jaws. And very interesting that the other wildebeest are not concerned about this. They're just moving their business and not even worried that there's a predator here that could easily bring them or bring one of them down. Look at them there. Not sure they are aware one of them is gone, or the hyena is here, or they can't see it. Remember to keep asking us questions or send us any comments you may have on #SafariLive. Well, it could be. I'm not very sure the name of this particular one here, but Love Bear, it could be the one. But what I know, we are in the Wafu's main den area because they relocated the den to come where they are now. We haven't been able to see Wafu's herself, but most likely, yes, you could be right. She could be the one. And this is the main area where they operate from, and just next, about, I would say, 50 meters from where we are to the left of that hyena's feeding is where Wafu's could be in with her 2 cubs. Not sure that she's in at the moment or not, but James, if you swing your camera to the left a little bit until when I tell you, keep going to the left, James. Just go to the left to that other mound, keep going. Keep going. Yes, those bushes you see there, there's a den there, and that's where Wafu's should be, exactly, Pani, in there. That's where she was last seen with her 2 cubbies. To the right a bit, go back to the right a bit. Yes, right there, exactly. Thank you, James. That's where, if she pops up, that's where she'll come out. And Jamie Patterson is very good in naming all these hyenas. I mean, she has been following this clan for a long time. Let's go back to the guy who is enjoying her breakfast. And I think it's quite a challenge to name these hyenas. And Jonathan, striped hyenas are all over Africa, and I know we got them in Kenya. We got the striped hyenas in Kenya, and I would guess in South Africa. Not very sure about that, but in Kenya and Tanzania, you'd be able to see the striped hyenas. One major difference between the striped hyenas, well, of course, as the name suggests, they're striped, but in terms of behavior, they're very shy, and I would say they're more nocturnal than diurnal. The spotted hyenas are out busy day and night, but the striped hyenas are more crepuscular, but I would say more night movers than during the day. To see one during the day, the village I come from, because we still see them even today, if you'd see a striped hyena, something very good would happen to your life. At one point in your life, something very good. It could be the same day, it could be a week later, a month later, a year later, but something very special would happen to your life. And for boys, we used to make a joke, if there's any one beautiful girl you thought of in the village and she was very hard or difficult to get, the moment you'd see a striped hyena, just go to their home, don't even tell her anything, and the next thing the girl would ask you, when are you going to marry me? Well, hopefully we might be seeing a striped hyena, but unfortunately I think both of us, me and James, are married. she is enjoying this meal. And occasionally, when they don't bring down big antelopes or big animals like the wildebeest, they have also been known to chase fawns of impalas, and I think Taylor might be having something similar to that.
We do have some impala. We've actually got quite a few herds around us, all just scattered off into the distance. They're not bothered by us at all. I'm pretty certain that they know we're here, but they might have been watching us a little bit earlier, and now they've put their heads back down, moving around freely and just going about their day. But best they be careful, because we have, well, I didn't, but Rexon picked up on some of what he suspects to be Tingana's footprints, which would make a lot of sense. When did I come back? 2 days ago, we found him at Treehouse Dam, which is just down off to the left of us, sleeping, and then he did a big loop and he went a little bit further east. And then he was seen very briefly by the bushwalk team yesterday around Inyala Road, North Inyala Road, South Central, that sort of area. So not a very far distance for him to come walking back this way, and he's going along this animal pathway. So we're just basically going to follow it for now and see where we go and where we end up. So the Nkuhumas, by the sounds of it, have been found too on Impala Plains, so that's quite far from where we are. We might try to start heading that way around and see if we can find them once all the safari vehicles have gone through, because it'll probably still take us about another hour or so to get there. It's quite a way away, but it's nice. At least the lions are on the property, so maybe Sydney will pop past them for you, I don't know, or perhaps this afternoon I shall go and spend my day with the Nkuhumas. Ooh. Shadowy pancakes. Yes, people do hunt impala like you would hunt a deer in the US, and a lot of the antelope species here in South Africa are indeed used for food. And at lodges, they normally, like if you come on a safari holiday, normally they'll have some kind of an antelope for you to try, and it's really, really quite nice. And of course, it's a lot healthier than eating a lot of the meat that we get from the stores and things like that are often pumped full of hormones. And at least these animals have also lived an incredible quality of life out here. And it's really tasty. I'm actually not a fan of... I'm just going to walk over here to these branches. I'm not a fan of impala. Maybe it's because I've eaten so much of it. And to me, it also tastes quite sort of gamey. And you can actually see there's some impala walking through here. There we go. Can you see them just down there? There's just a little gap. There's quite a big herd in there too. So I think it tastes quite a bit like venison, whereas the other antelope species, I don't know, don't have as sort of I'm going to say pungent taste just because I don't like eating impala, but something like kudu is really nice, so is wildebeest. Springbok has got a slightly sweet taste to it, so all really, really nice and very healthy too. Very little fat on, oi, watch your leg. It's the only problem with winter is you end up walking over all the sticks and things like that. Okay, let me clamber over these branches. So we'll just try catch up with Rexon, who's just up ahead. And, well, speaking of impala and finding it delicious, somebody that enjoys it more than any of us do is Hosana.
You can see that Hosana is now up and running, and he is now attracted by something. I'm not too sure. You know, these cats, every time they see something before me, but I can promise you here, where he's looking, there might be something. Maybe he's going to take us there. I can see the bellies now, that the bellies are not that very full. The chances for him to do some hunting, they are very high. Now this is indeed a very beautiful sighting. You can see that very long tail. Look at that. So yawning helps these animals a lot in order to cool the brain temperature. So if you can check, most of the cats, when they wake up, the lions, the leopards, they yawn too much. But I'm not too sure if it's also contagious, because to us, If you see someone yawning, you're going to do the same. So it's very much contagious. Look at that necklace there. It's nice and clear. So each one of these leopards has got its own spot pattern. It's like our fingerprints. So I'm trying to check what this animal is looking for. But I can see that it's not settled, you can see. And the wind is on his favor. I'm not sure if he's getting the information from the air particles or he's using his eyesight to spot something. So these animals can be able to rest for quite a lot of hours. And their activities pattern, they are more walking long distances at night. They can go for about 2.5 hours movement. But when they are disturbed, they can go quite a lot of hours. So the leopard territories, they are determined by the availability of the prey. The availability of the prey is what attracts leopards to come together. And both male and females, they occupy territories. And the male territories can also trespass and take over some of the areas belonging to the females. So females, they allow that. The only problem is they cannot extend territories and join other males or other females. Same sex, the extension is not allowed. It must have to be a different sex.
Go ahead.
James, Hosanna will be considered a fully grown when he's older than 2 years. But for breeding purposes, he's going to start that when... So he's going to be fully grown when he's older than 2 years, and for mating activities, he's going to only start breeding when he's older than 4 years. So older than 4 years is when he's got quite a lot of strength in order. The testosterone is when he's strong enough, and it's when he's ready. The level of aggression and everything goes very high. So now I'm going to follow him and see what he's thinking about. Maybe we're going to see something interesting this morning here. Yesterday, Hosanna just missed a squirrel. So if he's going after the squirrel, you can see that he's hungry. So now, let's go to my other colleagues and see what they are having at the moment there by the Masai Mara.
Hosanna was my very first leopard to see when I was in Juma, South Africa, with my other brother James Henry, and he was so close to the car and I felt very unsafe and I was very, very scared. But James told me, don't worry, he is fine, you are fine, you'll survive, you'll make it back to Kenya. Now, hyenas, this particular one is still feeding, and I said earlier, she is a lot younger than the one that was feeding before. And to me, it was kind of respect that she got from the bigger one, whether it was the mother or an auntie, but of course they were related, which reminds us or tells us how intelligent the hyenas are. So the big one, having eaten, thought, I don't have to be selfish, I'll have to leave some for the youngster also to eat. And that tells you they have very special social organization or social behavior, which the complexity of all that has been compared to, I would say, some apes, and they got very high DNA. the very intelligent animals, not as what we have always thought hyenas to be, but they seem to be very clever animals. So this is not letting go as the wind is picking up. So what she is doing, she's just turning her body against the wind so that maybe the wind doesn't bother her as she feeds. And you can see the wind is just blowing behind her towards the front. And that's why I guess they dragged the kill from where originally it was to where it is now. Again, showing how intelligent these animals are. And most likely that wind blowing that smell is not going towards any lions that I would think of. We have seen them once in a while. If hyenas make a kill and there's a big pride of lions, them also coming to intimidate the hyenas and getting the hyenas out of the kill. Of course, if the hyenas is a small, they're not as many, it's a small number of them. But I've seen more of the times the hyenas going for kills of either cheetahs, leopards, or lions and getting them out of the kill, not the other way around. They tend to be better hyenas, they tend to be stronger, and their numbers make the whole difference. Going to the head area, not how much meat. I would have guessed myself with the choice. I would stick to the ribs. And I'm looking carefully, the eyes are long gone. So whoever killed it first, that's exactly where she's eating now. That's the eyeball. And the eyes are long gone. And the ears too. In the village where I come from, we'll always get the ears of the goat to make soup. Because the muscles on the ears are rather hard to chew. You'd imagine the movement of the ears of these animals every time they need to move them to locate any predator or any concern. So those muscles tend to be very hard. I don't know how you chew them. And that's why I'm saying for the goats and the sheep back in the village, we use the ears, we boil, then we eat them. So all the other hyenas are gone. This youngster has remained alone. And I do not know for how long she'll stay here. She's now digging through the eyeball. Not sure what she's reaching at the moment. Just snewing and shearing. But if the other cubs around, the thing is, she has to eat as quickly as possible. And that's very common for hyenas to eat fast, if especially it's a big clan. The northern clan, if I remember very well from Jamie, I think it's anything 70 plus. We got some other cars in the background there, as you can see, but they are also enjoying the wildebeest migration. Not sure they know what we have here, but they're enjoying the wildebeest. Then I would guess anything after 3 months, they should be able to comfortably eat meat on their own. 6 weeks, just like the lions, you notice they start chewing little meat. But 3 months, they'll be good to go. And Lynn, I'm trying to remember all the animals I know of in Africa or in the world, and I could be mistaken. It's only the hyena cubs that I have known when they're born already with some dentation of formula or with their teeth on. And that tells you they do not suckle a lot. That prepares them to start, eating meat as soon as possible. So I would say anything after about a month, they should be able to chew small bits of meat. And at 3 months, they are always good to go. Of course, if you're born, with teeth on, which it sounds a bit scary for me, a mother having a cub or a baby with the teeth on, they should be good to go eating meat as early as possible. If you look at this one, as much as she is young, you can see the teeth are definitely very well developed. She has been able to tear, or pull out the skin, and she has been breaking the bones, which means whatever age she is, difficult to guess now, but sometimes the spots will always help. Got very strong teeth to chew the meat and the bones at the same time. It's getting very windy, which to me many times when you get winds like this before 8, 9 o'clock is always a sign of rains coming later in the day. Midday gets very hot, and then afterwards we might get some light showers this afternoon. You want to have a break? Sherry Pancake, you're asking me what is the bite force of the hyena, and I should be finding out that for you. And I think it comes second. It comes second after the crocodile. I could be wrong, but if you give me a few seconds, I should be able to find out that for you. And that's a very good question. And I think it's about 1,100. I think it's about 1,100, and the crocodile is a little bit more than that. Yes, it's 1,100. James, did you see a little jacko in the background there? Yes, and anything 1,100 is a strong bite. And, you know, crocodiles being a little bit stronger than that. There's a jacko way out there just running there. And I'm not trying to think she's trying to sneak in here. You see those wildebeest there. She's coming in this way. Yes, there, that's the spot there. There's a jacko trying to come around here. And I don't think she stands a chance with this hyena here. So she keeps looking every time she eats, and I think she senses a jacko is coming, but she knows the jacko is no match to her. James, are you getting hungry seeing the hyena eating? Yeah, James is saying, well, with a choice, he would want to eat, but he would want cooked meat, not the raw wildebeest. And I'll tell you, not much. Amir, I'll tell you, not much will happen once the hyenas are done with the meat. Occasionally, when it's very tight in the sense that there's not much to eat, hyenas will eat anything, and a horn is a very soft tissue for them. You would imagine with that strength of about 1,100. I mean, they'll also eat the horn. But that's very rare. Where we are in the Mara, there's plenty, is one area that's plentiful of food. A lot of choices they usually have. But when the migration is gone and they don't have much of a choice, that's when we say the hyenas now become true scavengers. And we'll see them getting on skins and hides of any animal, eating it. They'll get any horns, and they'll be eating the keratin that is on top of the horns. But in general, with these ones, once she's full or the rest of them come here and they have eaten enough, they will just leave the horns and go. They might, the migration might take a couple of months once it's back in Serengeti, and at that time before it comes back and they don't have, again, as I said, much of food to look for, they go now scavenging on what was killed maybe months earlier when the migration was around. And they might leave this horn where it is, because apart from the hyenas, not many other animals that I know of around here that will be going for the horn. Jambo, hello there. You must be very happy to have all that meal by yourself all this time, eh? So what are you trying to do? Again, going back to the eyeball, I'm not sure what she's reaching the eyeball there. And I think if the eyes are gone, not much is left that is in there. Are you full? Time to go? Well, if you're going somewhere else, you're on the move. I think Hosanna is also on the move.
Yes, you say so. Go to the hyena first. I have got Hosanna now, trying to look at something, and very close to me I've got a hyena. Look at the hyena there is now checking at Hosanna. So there's a hyena, you can see standing there, spotted hyena just came from the bushes. So I'm not sure if maybe Hosanna is guided by something in this area. There, the hyena is now moving away. So I am going to now follow what Hosanna is intending to do. Maybe here in the same area there might be something. I've also not seen Thandi for quite a long time. Maybe Osana is going to take us to Tandi because Tandi always prefers this area as well. Hyenas by this time of the day. Look at that. And this is quite a beautiful animal. Nice shot from Senzo. You can see those white tips there on the ears. So those are the things these animals are using for communication purposes. So it's opposite from the lions. Lions, you see black tips. Here you see white tips. Osana knows very well that the hyena is here because when he was moving down, he was watching to the direction where that hyena came from. So Osana showed us that hyena. But it seems like there's something he's looking at. Gosh, the hyenas, mostly you'll see them in clans, but an individual hyena against a leopard is not very easy. They try. I've been on a sighting where I saw Tandi and Talamba had a kill, and one hyena was just on the ground waiting to have a chance, but interaction did not take place. Hyenas, when they're hungry, all they want is food. I'm trying to check here, but I can't see what is attracting Hosana from the other side of this donga or the other side of the dry riverbed. And his positioning is showing me that he is watching something. The tail as well. So I'm just going to give him a chance to move further and see where he's going to lead us to. You can see now he's going down a little bit. So when the leopards are hunting, it takes time because they've got to approach very close. And now that the grass is very dry and the leaves are dry, he must have to be very careful and make sure that he doesn't make any noise. And that is time consuming. So Hosana can hunt with a hyena nearby because he's looking very hungry. And that hyena just got disappeared somewhere by this dry riverbed. And don't think that hyena will interfere on his hunting activities. Remember, the cats such as leopards, they are very agile climbers. So he can easily take something now and drag it up into a tree, and that will restrict the hyena from getting hold of the food, because he knows very well that if everything is happening on the ground, chances of the hyena to deprive the food, they are very much high. So I can see that he's just moving a few steps forward and listen and sit. I can see now again he is slowly going down the dry riverbed now. So I'm going to drive down there, follow him and see what he's thinking about to do now. He's somewhere at the back of this termite mound. So while I'm going to relocate Hosana, let's go to Taylor and hear some updates.
Because that's all you can get from me at the moment, but is an update. So Lions on the move, gone west back towards Arathusa. Now, it sounds like they're going towards Red Dam. Maybe they had a kill. Maybe they ate something here last night. So it sounds like their bellies are full. So what we're going to do now is we're not really going to worry too much about trying to find the lions, but we're going to move into the area where they were first found and hope to try and find the kill, or at least some remains of it. But the Nkuhuma Pride, as we all know, there's quite a few lions, and they're all getting really big, those youngsters now, so they need to eat quite a bit. So there might just be like little scraps left, unless the hyenas have already beaten us to it. But I'm pretty sure we'll be able to see some kind of crime scene along the way. So that's really what we're going to do at the moment. Oh, cool, look at all these bulbs. Look at this. Lots of them too around here. This may be a porcupine, but probably an elephant or a herd of elephants that have come through here and peeled it away. Now, we often talk about things you can and you can't eat in the bush, and obviously there are a lot of nutritious bulbs out there that you can feed on. But the rule of thumb is that if you can peel it like an onion, or it resembles an onion of sorts, which this one of course does, the chances of it going to be toxic are quite high. Now, this looks very much like a bulb from the tall white squill plant. However, I do see a lot of black stick lily around too, so it could be from that too. I don't really know what the root or the bulb structure of the black stick lily kind of looks like, but this very much does look like the squill. So if you can't remember what squill is, because I haven't seen it for quite some time, it's a plant that grows very, very tall stem, and it's got lots of little black, well, the seeds get black, and eventually they fall off, and then a lot of it grows around here. But I think I've shown you before where I've actually played with the leaves of the squill. Not this, of course. It's actually quite moist. That's crazy. So, oh, look. There's another little root starting to come out over there. So if this were to be buried, perhaps it's still got a chance of growing. Tubers and things like that are typically quite robust. That's amazing, because this has been out for quite some time. But as soon as I peeled back a couple of those layers, yeah, I reckon it would actually have a chance of surviving. It does look exactly like an onion, and that's why I say don't eat it. And the squirrel plant is fairly toxic too. You and I, however, the animals can feed on it here. I would imagine it would be growing in an area like this too. Oh well. We'll have to wait for the rain. Pierre, yes. Hyena, leopard and a bulb. Essentially, well, you know me, I can go from topic to topic. So that was quite nice. It just caught my attention, so I thought we'd have a little look. Oh, goodness. There's another tree out here that also gets quite green. Let's quickly walk to this one. So there's not much. Guarri trees are around. Jackalberries have still got some green leaves on them. With the Bushman's grape, you're starting to see some leaves coming onto them now too. I'm trying to think what else. Not much else really. Some of the willows also. Do we have a spider? Or is it just a web? Look, in there. There is a web, and there's even a leaf that's curled. Oh, can you see it? This one. Oh. Can you see that little... Oh, there's another one there. Probably from the spame spider. There's two different sets of webs there, but, you know, maybe it was just, I don't know, trying to catch as much food as it can and thought it could set up a few more. Or maybe there's just two little spiders, but I can't see the little spiders. But inside that one, it's obviously very windy. It's shaking quite a bit. There's a tiny little brown curled up leaf, and I reckon that's where that spider maybe was seeking some shelter. A bit of protection, a bit of extra protection. But this is, of course, in the apple leaf. Alyssa, sure, there's quite a few spiders that we need to be careful of. The brown widow spiders are not particularly nice. The violin spiders give off a nasty a bite too. Button spiders also of medicinal importance you've got to be careful of. And then one that's not necessarily going to kill you, but that seems to follow me around and bite myself and my brother all the time, is the sac spider. So again, sac spider has a cytotoxin to it, so it's not going to kill you unless you end up getting a secondary infection. Then you're going to be in a bit of trouble. But they're very common around the household. So I see them everywhere, and they really just seem to follow me. They're cream in color, and they've got almost black sort of mandibles. So those are the ones that I'm looking out for all the time, because the widows and the violin spiders and things like that, they seem to not bother me too much, and they don't really go after people. But I always find the sack spiders somehow end up falling on you, or in your bed, in your clothes. So just keep an eye out for them. You get them all over Africa too. Are you all right there, Jean-Andre? Jean-Andre's pulling all sorts of faces. It's making me distracted now. Now he's going. That's what he's doing. I don't know why he's doing that, to try and distract me. Anyways, but another one of the trees that we'll see around here that is nice and green. But I'm going to send you back across to David in the Mara, who has got a couple of wildebeest. And I'm kind of sad that the migration is over.
Just moved a few meters away from the scene of crime, where we have the wildebeest that was being devoured by those hyenas. But now we have come to a vulture here, and this is the lappet-faced vulture. And this is the largest vulture that we got in East Africa, I would say the whole of Africa. And I think she is thinking to get close, speak of the devil, towards the kill. Maybe not as yet. She took off and just landed. It's a very heavy bird to fly. Definitely not the heaviest bird to fly in Africa. We have the bastards that are much heavier. But for the species of the vulture that we got in Africa, this is one of the heaviest one to fly. I don't know why she is looking up in the sky, but the kill is not up there. It's on the ground where the hyena is. I'm not sure whether the wind is playing any part in confusing this particular vulture. But the direction she is facing now is where the hyena is with the kill. We have seen 3 other vultures before we got into this one, and the 3 have flown towards that kill, and I think this one might do the same now. Not sure you can hear the wildebeest in the background. I never know what they say. And most vultures, this one in particular, very good. And casting the final control says you can hear the wildebeest, which is very good. I mean, we're talking about the Egyptian geese earlier making their calls, and I thought for the birds, I've always loved that call from the Egyptian geese. Not sure I love the one for the wildebeest. To me, it's a bit irritating because it doesn't sound musical to me. So talking of vultures, I was saying earlier, most of them will not have any covered heads or any feathers on their heads for only one particular reason. When they dig in their heads in the prey or whatever they're feeding on, they get covered with so much blood, which is not very healthy for them. As much as they rarely get infections, they don't want to pick any blood because they will always eat anything that dies out here in the savannah, whether it died from other predators or it naturally died or from any diseases. They got, I think, the best digestive mechanisms of all birds that I know of, that even if an animal die of a disease and they eat it, I have not seen in my career one vulture that died from an infection of a kind, not that I can remember of. Now you need to move to where the food is, don't just stay there. Where I come from, we have a forest not very close to my village, and we have seen vultures, or we have heard stories of how vultures long time ago used to eat babies. And there's that one particular forest that we call the forest of the vultures. Even today, we don't see as many vultures there today as they used to be, but we hear stories way back. I don't know what way back is, could be maybe 50, 100 years ago, where the villager would say there were vultures that would eat human babies, and those vultures used to live in this or in that particular forest. And that forest even today is called the forest of the vultures. Not as many, the villagers say today, as they used to be 50, 100 years ago. there's a medical condition of children when they're born looking a bit yellowish. I think it's called jaundice. And jaundice is kind of lack of a pigmentation or lack of vitamin D. Look at the flight of that massive vulture there. Very good, James. And it's a condition of lack of vitamin D. And without the modern medical, facilities that we have today, the women or the mothers knew exactly what they would do as we enjoy that flight of that vulture. Hopefully it's heading to where the kill is. And yes, it's going to land right there. And you're going to be following it. You can see a few more there. We're going to be following them shortly there. And what happened is the women knew exactly what to do. So they would take the small little babies out in the sun to get light sun, to get orbs of vitamin D in their bodies as we move on towards the vultures to the crime scene. And after a few minutes, they would go get them and put them back in the house. But once in a while, they would go out and they would find their babies missing because the vultures would just fly and pick them up. It was very sad. But not anymore now. What they would do today, if they still do it, you'd put your baby out there and you stay with your baby as she is getting vitamin D from the sun, making sure the vultures don't get anywhere close. So we're seeing more vultures coming in. So the first ones we saw or was talking about are the lappet-faced vultures. Friend, that is an interesting question. Apart from the lappet-faced vultures, all the other vultures will have feathers on their head. But I think that is a very interesting question because, as you've seen, that skin is very light and there could be a possibility of them getting a sunburn. I would say they would get, and maybe when it gets very hot, what they would do, they would get some cover. So the lappet-faced vultures, I would say, it's very possible for them to get sunburn. As much as at the same time, I would think it could be equally thick. As much as they look pink in color, it could be very thick skin for them maybe to get sunburn. But I'm sure they'll always try and protect themselves. We are now back to the crime scene and we now have different setup or different arrangement. Is this good for you, James? Back up a little bit. Okay. Tell me when to stop. We want for the other side. We have all types of predators landing here. The hyenas have moved on the side, and you got two different vultures here and a marabou stock. James, let me know when to stop. Keep going. That's good. And now the setup, it has totally changed. Just now look at that. We have maybe 3 species of vultures now that have landed. The hyena is still there and is not very happy with all the vultures that have come here. They're landing one after the other. And look at her dragging the kill. She's one and against what, 15, 20 vultures? Only time will tell for how long she'll keep enjoying that meal. We have the Rupert's griffon vultures that have arrived, that you see on the right. The ones in the background are the white-backed vultures. I think, yes, your question is, do the predators ever eat the vultures? I hope that was the question. Getting a bit windy here. Casty, was that the question from DS? Yes, I would say I haven't seen predators going for the vultures. What I've seen once in a while is fights between the predators and the vultures. I have seen lions literally just giving slaps or whacking vultures to death, but I've never seen a predator eating a vulture. I don't know anybody would eat or anybody eats vultures. That's a marabou stock there. And of course, being outnumbered, he is picking on any remnants that were left behind. Look at the sack hanging on the neck there, and the long beak. She got long legs, white legs, because when they drop, when they do the number 2, you get the droppings coming on their legs. Sometimes we say That helps them to keep cool. Any bird I've seen or any predator raptor I've seen eating a marabou stock once, it was a martial eagle. But for predators like hyenas, lions, cheetahs, or leopards, none of them I've ever seen feeding on the vultures. I doubt from what they eat, nobody would want to go for them. And of course, they would very quickly take off and fly away. I just want to move forward a little bit because the hyena is still enjoying the meal when the vulture's just looking. James, if you allow me for 40 seconds, just to move forward and look at how it's playing out here. We are talking about 30 vultures in total here, and it's only one hyena, and none of them is getting close to her. It shows you the might and strength, and the pecking order would be here. Just let me know a bit of left. The pecking order would be of all the 3 different species here. When they'll start eating, chances are the lappet-faced vultures will eat number 1. Those are the ones with the red heads, the big ones. They're always the strongest in general. When you look at the species of the vultures we have in Africa, they're large in size and pretty strong. So that should be the pecking order. And my guess is then either the one you see there, the Ruppel's griffon vultures, will come in number 2, or the white-backed vultures. Right, other scavengers may also follow vultures for a kill, but what I can tell you for a fact, I haven't seen vultures doing a kill. I haven't seen vultures doing a kill, but depending on the kill, depending on the location, out of experience, well, the hyena is gone. The vultures are now attacking. Look at those guys. I have always said vultures have no table manners. And when hyenas as scavengers or hyenas as predators will make a kill, vultures will always follow much later on. But it's very unusual to see vultures making any kill of their own. I've never seen one. It's time for survival for the fittest, fighting for space here. So we got the Ruppel's griffon vultures, the ones you see like with white pecks, feathers, and the very dark ones are the white-backed vultures. And unfortunately, I think what I thought would have been number 1 here once the hyena would move would be the lappet-faced vultures, but they can tell. There are only 2 of them. They have been massively outnumbered by these 2 other species here. So they may just watch from a distance and not doing much, as I can't see them getting anywhere close to this. Yeah, that's where they are. So the 2 of them there, at the moment, I think they can tell they have no chance. They may have to wait, maybe and come in later. But having such strong beaks and being stronger than the others, maybe they know they'll come and try and tear or get some bones or some flesh from the bones. So we are talking of skin burn earlier, excuse me, one of the viewers, and yes, that very light skin could be maybe thick and protected from the sun. All right, time to enjoy the party. So they'll push and they'll fight using their wings and their feet for space. And sometimes what they'll try to do is you pick some piece of flesh and if you can, get away with it. But I think the hyenas had done the best or had eaten most of the flesh. So what they have to do now is to get it from the bones, which is not easy for them with all the crowding there they have there. Just too many on that small little wildebeest. And unfortunately, sometimes they have to spend so much energy fighting among us themselves instead of eating. What do you think of that, James? James is saying survival for the fittest. And to me, I think the griffons vultures are doing much better than the white-backed vultures. And unfortunately, the marabou stock on the left, very good, James, is just standing there watching. Sherry Pancake, I would say vultures do more sight than smell. when it gets warmer, we'll always see them out flying in the air and gliding in the air. So I think their sense of sight is much stronger than sense of smell. And it would be the reverse to me for the hyenas. The hyenas, I would say, they do better in the sense of smell than sight. But that's a very good question. I would say the vultures is more of sight than smell. We have always seen them on top of trees, either looking and they can see long distances, and when they're not likely to see anything, they just take advantage of the heat thermals of the day and they glide looking down. So when you see them up in the air, you'll always notice the eyes are glued to the ground, and that's why they'll be looking for any kill or any meat or, you know, any animal dead somewhere. And then once they locate it, you'll see them slowly flying or gliding down to where it is. Marabou stock, you just have to build enough courage and go slowly there and find out if you might get space and some meat for yourself. Well, let's find out what Hosanna is doing at the moment.
And some movement. What's in? Look at that. So Hosanna has got some competitors at the moment. Right on his right side, he's got the two hyenas, and they've been chasing each other for a while now. So Hosanna has been doing some hunting activities, and these hyenas are disturbing him every time he's trying to hunt the three nyalas. I just saw the three nyalas now. You can see he's looking at them, and there's another vehicle that came to join me now. So I just want to see how his hunting activities is going to go now, because I can see that he's very worried about these hyenas. They are pushing him. They're not very far. The hyenas are just less than 30 meters away from him. So the hyenas are just behind the termite mound where he is now. So maybe one of them is going to come out. You can see that he's even thinking about to climb that tree. He's looking at them now. So maybe the hyenas are also hungry today. But he was very much submissive to those hyenas when they chased him. They chased him just a few minutes ago. Let's see what he's thinking now. By looking at his positioning, you can see that he's looking at something. I can see that hyena is now right there at that termite mound. Senzo, let me just move forward here so that you can see the hyenas nicely. Can you see them? They're standing there. You can see that the hyenas, they are just very close by. So they just keep following him. So they are looking for some benefits. There are maybe some of the beneficiaries, depending on Hosanna. He's got two beneficiaries. It's interesting to see that the beneficiaries are busy now chasing the account holder. So now I'm going to follow him because he's going up alongside the drainage. So now let's go back to David, who's got the vultures on a kill.
Well, I'll request Gus in the final control maybe March later on to ask, Sydney for me, whether Hosanna has ever been able to bring down a wildebeest, you know. We have seen leopards here, you know, bringing down even wildebeest, so I'll be more than happy to. I'm trying to remember whether I have heard of that, because we also got wildebeest in Juma. I think Hosanna is still a young boy. And yes, Castle Final Control confirms to me that hasn't happened, but maybe one day as Hosanna gets to be a bigger boy, he'll be able to do that. The party here continues, and we just saw a new entrant come in the party to join the party. James, if you look at these two guys here to the left here, we got another species that just came in, and these are the hooded vulture. You see those two small ones? Thank you very much, James. I interestingly did not see them land, but now you can see from their side, they're small, and they're not being pushy to join the big group. And as you say, birds of a feather fly together. These ones are staying together because they're different species. And this is the hooded vulture. So what they're doing, they're taking advantage of what the big guys or the big players don't want to eat. And I think could be skins or anything left behind by the rest. So on the main scene here, we got the Rupal's Griffin vultures and the white-backed vulture. And you can see the amount of wind blowing the grass and the feathers. Shall we, Pancake? We'll see whether we can take you back to the... Yes, thank you, James, to the Marab stock. It's like a pocket where they have been saying sometimes they'll swallow some bones and put it there tentatively, either to digest it or something. And I'm sure you know many birds have a crop. So it's like a pocket where, like, also pelicans also have the same, and they may swallow some food and store it there for maybe to reuse or eat later. This is not the one I think we saw earlier. If we saw the one we saw before, this is the second one, and if the second one is still around, obviously it we look, and yes, it's bringing it out now. And they have been known, Shadowy Pancake, to store either some small little bones there or fish when they eat, and it rests there before they maybe eat it there. Maybe they'll grab it very quickly and store it there, and slowly, when they don't have much to eat, they'll either regurgitate or put it in their stomach. That is my guess, Shadowy Pancake. And you can tell the vultures don't have that. Thank you, James, for that. It's a little pocket they have there. And you can see the wind is not relenting, it keeps blowing even harder, but the vultures are not bothered. Now, the marabou stock is trying to make use of her size, and I don't know how lucky she will be, and she knows not a chance she stands with this many number of vultures here. Come on, try, push away, you're big enough. You can push your beak through. You have a long neck, long legs. They should respect you for your size. Thinking about it, looking at her bald head, not wondering whether she got some dark hair right on top there. Oops. Fighting for food as usual, as James was saying earlier, survival for the fittest, and she opens her beak to intimidate these guys. Sometimes when they do that, the vultures have been known to drop what they're eating. Exactly that's what he did, and knowing the hooded vulture is small in size, it's easy to deal with the small guys than the big ones here, or the big numbers in terms of the griffons and the white-backed vultures. And I'm sure Taylor is still enjoying her walk.
We've literally stopped to smell the flowers, which was quite cool. For after everything being so dry and brown and yellow, we found something that's a much better shade of yellow, and that is the flower of the sjambok pod, which is a tree in the cassia family, which is very cool, the genus, sorry. So how pretty beautiful is that? And it smells absolutely delicious. Now, Jean-Ray was chasing a bumblebee around a little while ago, but it has disappeared now, which is a little bit of a pity. But that seemed to be the only thing that was obviously pollinating well, I suppose there'll be one of the pollinators, but maybe collecting some pollen and some nectar from this tree. But it is absolutely beautiful. Now, if you don't know what the sjambok pod is, it's typically a tree that we do see with those big, long, black, slender pods. That's the one that you find on this tree. Now, I haven't seen one for a very long time, and I'm trying to remember if I've ever actually seen a sjambok pod in bloom before, because I can't say that I remember this. I then said to Rex, and I was like, what has the purple flowers? And then immediately remembered that it was a tree wisteria that has lovely purple flowers on it. But this is lovely. I'm surprised there aren't any more bees and flies and things around hanging around here, or even vervet monkeys. They would love to eat these blossoming flowers. I'm sure they're very tasty. And the scent is just absolutely incredible. It's kind of like jasmine, but not as an intense smell. Now, Roshni, you said it is so lovely to see flowers, and again, it's just going to get better and better. The more rain we get, we're going to see them sprouting out of the ground. But there are a couple of trees at this time of the year, and I bet you've already been speaking quite a bit about the knobthorn trees that are flowering at the moment, which also have got a lovely sweet scent to them. But unfortunately, we don't see too many of the sjambok pods around. Now, oh my goodness, from what I can remember, we'll see if I can remember. If you take the branches, I'm assuming it would probably have to have leaves on, and you burn them. They say if you inhale the smoke, kind of like when you inhale the smoke with elephant dung, they say it does help with curing a headache. Haven't tried it, probably won't try it with, I don't know if you burn it with the flowers. Like I said, I'd imagine maybe it was with the leaves, or maybe it is just the branch itself. And then another thing that I know is because I'm prone to bilharzia. And for those of you that don't know what bilharzia is, it's also known as schistomiasis, but it's basically a waterborne virus that gets into you. It's like a little snail, essentially, that burrows into your skin, and you get it from feces, and it typically plagues stagnant water. And then apparently, I'd imagine you'd make a decoction of some sort out of the root, and that is also used to help treat bilharzia. Whether it works or not, I'm not so sure. But maybe. But it's very pretty. I really thought there would have been a whole lot more life around here, though, seeing as though there's not really much that you can feed on at this time of the year. Just us here, literally smelling the flowers. So pretty. I actually want one. I want a flower. There are lots on the ground, but they're... Oh, this one is okay. A lot of them were squashed. Yes, X-Ranger, you do really need smell-o-vision. It would be absolutely awesome if you could smell what I was smelling. I'm just trying to think. There's definitely another floral element to it, not just jasmine, but I can't quite put my finger on it. But isn't that absolutely gorgeous? And you can see anything that does come to feed on it, all those little sacs over there would be filled with pollen, and would essentially all just rub off onto bird species, onto monkeys. Remember, monkeys are also pollinators of plants and things like that. A lot of people don't, I think, realize how many mammals actually pollinate plants. We know that bats do it. We know that, like we've just said, monkeys and even some rodent species. Some of the mice that will climb up onto plants, to eat buds and things like that. Again, they'll all be covered, and they'll probably be feeding on the same plant at a certain amount of time, if they are all flowering at the moment, which is quite cool. And then lots of bird species. It's so pretty. Very cool. I'm going to keep this one, though, just because I think it's amazing, and I do want to photograph it at some point. Very nice. I actually might have to walk on in here with a camera. Roshni, you spell, it's an interesting way to spell this tree. So it's S-J-A-M-B-O-K. S-J-A-M-B-O-K, if I'm not mistaken. Sjambok pod. Or you can also just, I think it's Cassia abbreviata, something like that, maybe? Abbreviata? I don't know. Someone's going to have to correct me. I'm sure Miss Judy H is watching, and she could quite quickly give you the actual Latin name. But I'm pretty sure it's Cassia abbreviata. Maybe there's no V in there, though. I don't know. But it's something along those lines. It's correct. Thank you. Mr. Google says I am correct. Thank you, Kirsten, for confirming. But a lovely, lovely plant. I can't stop smelling it now. I might actually have to get a piece of string and dangle it from my nose and just walk around like that all day. I've dropped it now. Okay, well, we're going to carry on and keep going and find Rexon. Rexon is somewhere along here. So this is basically where the hyenas have been and lions have been running around, and then we've also been chasing around quite a few wildebeest. There's also quite a few wildebeest tracks around here, so we're hoping that we're still going to come across that crime scene. Anyways, off we go back to Sydney, and I wonder if those pesky hyenas are still following Hosanna.
You can see now that Hosanna is free a little bit. The hyenas, they have just disappeared. I didn't see where they went, but they are still in the area. But now I can see that he's got some freedom. He's walking around freely now. So he was just going in circles here, but now I can see he's got a proper direction. So where he's going is where he just spotted 3 nyalas earlier. So I'm just going to reverse and see if we can have a better sighting from the other side of the termite mound, because I can see now that he is walking parallel to the drainage line or the old riverbed. So he's now relaxed somewhere there. It's very much difficult to tell where he is thinking about to go, because he's just promising and changing directions every time. Very much difficult for me to turn here. I'm going to have to go forward. So I can hear birds are starting to give some of the alarm calls now, so it means they are hearing Hosanna at the moment. Ooh, seems like we got stuck here, Senso. So now let's go to David while I'm trying to get myself out. We just got stuck.
Well, so far so good. We just found one impala male here just laying down, and he's just chewing cud as usual, and he's very far from all the other impalas around this area. And look on how the wind is picking up. And normally antelopes of this size, when it gets very windy, they tend to panic, and you'll always see them being very alert. But because where he is, it's very open, he can tell there could be no danger of any kind coming close to him. One advantage of buying ruminant is able to chew cud. When you eat and you get tired or you think you're full, you regurgitate what you had eaten before and you start rechewing it again. Very nice rack of horns, James. They are very well done. And I'm trying to compare the size of horns of the male impalas here and the ones in Juma. And either we have all agreed as guides the rack of horns or the size of horns here are a little bigger in size, maybe by an inch or two, not much, and a little thick also at the same time. A little bigger in size also, and I would say more so the males than the females. Looking one particular direction, nothing of concern I can see from where his eyes are focused, but as he chews the cud, he's looking in one particular area but nothing of concern. Where I come from, this kind of horns, we have... excuse me, so that... Sweet pastry, it's not weird. What would happen is, if maybe just until the other day he was controlling a harem, or he had some females with him, and maybe he lost or he got displaced, there he rises up, and he got displaced by another male, chances are before he rejoins another herd of males, he'll tend to be on his own. So it's not unusual. We have seen when they're young, when they have just been kicked out of the herd to go, from the female, for example, from a breeding herd, when they're young boys and they're told by their mothers, go join other boys elsewhere, we'll always see them on their own the first maybe few days, the first few weeks, just wandering on their own before they're able to get their position in a new herd. Excuse me. So it's not unusual to see them alone like this. It happens a lot. Then maybe in another few days or so, he's going to get a place, join another club, one of the herd of boys, and that's what maybe he could be looking at. The only challenge is when they're alone like this, it's always a bit tricky because they expose themselves to there would be predators, and when there are many, they have more eyes and it's much safer for them to be together. But when you stay alone like that, it's very easy to be brought down, maybe by leopards or other predators. All right, we'll move on and have a beautiful day. Hopefully you get yourself boys to hang out with. Don't leave alone. And I'm sure you know the advantage of being in big numbers here in the bush. My blue jacket is off. I have my favorite jacket. I hope James Henry loves this jacket. Every time he sees me in it, he'll always ask me where I bought it. And I usually tell him it was designed for me and not for anybody else by the factory. Big James, that makes sense to you? Do you agree or not? Well, Big James, sometimes when he doesn't talk, he'll always do this. That I understand what he means, but when he does this, and yes, there's something I've been promising all of you viewers. Today I haven't said anything about it, because when I asked James, are we game? Do we have a plan? He goes, yes. And when I ask him when, he goes, this. And I can tell you, I still have my own ways of getting him out of this car one of these days. And I've told him what exactly he needs to do is to lock the camera. I'll walk out myself and I request him to come and we look at something together and maybe do a dance or do something together. But James, if I may ask you honestly, when are we going to come and see you? Can you do that today? Well, I got a very big no. The reason he gave me a no, I do not know, but I'm sure I'll still go around it one day and I'll get James out of that car or out of this car and he'll be out standing with me. I don't know when, but that will happen. We've got some topics coming to the left there, James. I don't know where they really want to go. Let's see if they may be going to have a drink, and we'll wait them patiently here. And the girl who loves walking, Taylor, is still doing trucking.
I was, and then guess what we found? We found life, which is so exciting. Have a look at this. It is an ant carrying a little worm of sorts. I wonder where it found that, though. It's so small. I'm having a little look. That's crazy. Look at the power of that ant. Now, that little worm doesn't look like it's alive anymore, unfortunately. And perhaps it's going to take it back to its colony where they will all feast tonight. I mean, it's tough for even the insects, and especially the ones that are on the omnivorous side, so maybe not just feeding on seeds and flowers and things like that, but or leaves and grass, but also feeding on other insects or any carrion, because remember, you often see ants and things like that on carcasses too. So I don't know where it's going with that little thing, but it's got a long way to go, because I haven't seen any sort of ant heaps like that. So I'm just going to make sure that I don't squash it. And it always amazes me as to how incredibly strong those ants really are. Monique, you're very fun. You said we found life and death. Very dramatic. So sadly, no luck on figuring out where that carcass is, but perhaps it's because the hyenas took care of it. What's in the tree? What's in the tree? Is that a community spider web nest? Let's have a look. We're going to march on over to it quickly. This is cool. Yes, it is. Now, let me bring it down a little bit. I think I can actually bring it down to eye level without disturbing it too much. I'm going to hold it still because it's blowing around quite a bit in the wind too. Isn't that very much like Halloween-like? It's a bit eerie, don't you think? Now, it does look like it's a community spider web nest. There's only one way to find out, and that's for Jean-Andre to stick his tongue inside the web. No, I'm only joking. Sometimes what you can do, and because typically these spiders are nocturnal, so they're probably hiding away from the heat of the day. But maybe on a day like today, it won't matter so much. But if you wanted to see, to make sure, because sometimes there's caterpillars that also, I suppose, weave a silk sort of web to try and keep themselves nice and safe, but this doesn't look like what's happened here. But the spiders are probably just inside, and you'll find hundreds and hundreds all living together, and they're really, really small little creatures. I've actually try and spend a bit of time with them when I can. Remember, we had that amazing nest on Shibamo Road, and we almost went there every single night, and we watched them catch moths. And as soon as one insect gets stuck on any of the sort of trip lines that they've set up in order to try and catch some bugs at night, they sound the alarm, however that may be, and they all come running out, down on the webs, and they all take on their prey. So even though they are really, really small, they can bring down prey a lot bigger than what they are, and then they'll all feed together, and that's what teamwork is. It's the same thing as lions. Lions can bring down giraffe, and that's not just because it's one on its own, because there's a couple of them, and essentially that's what those spiders are doing too. So imagine if a big lunar moth or something flew in there, maybe not getting stuck right in the center of the web. I can't imagine that would be too sticky. But like I said, at night they'll set up all these long lines of webs that cover the trees surrounding it and hope that the bugs will get stuck on those. Very cool, though. We'll have to come back around here. This is actually not too far. We can maybe just pull the vehicle in one night. Maybe we can even see this afternoon and see if it's on the active side. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't. Right, we're not too far away from home now, so we're going to start heading back around to the big open plains, but it seems as though Hosanna is still putting on a show.
Hosanna has just missed a daker just now, and that daker escaped death. I can see now Hosanna is relaxed on the other side of the drainage line. Very much camouflaged. So now it's behind the trees, in between these trees. It's very much difficult to have a visual from where I am. We can reallocate. He has just missed a daker just now. It was going to be very, very interesting seeing Hosanna catching a daker right in front of us. But he didn't see the daker. He was also very surprised, and then he decided to chase a little bit and gave up. So you can hear now the Francolins are starting to give some of the warning calls about his presence in the area. Yeah, he's somewhere camouflaged in between those bushes there. It can be very camouflaged. I can't even see where exactly he is, but I can see that he is somewhere there. So I'm gonna pull forward and see if we can see him from. a different angle. I think Senzo can see him where he is now. I can't see him. Where are you seeing him, Senzo?
It's behind that big tree there. My legs is getting.
Craig, these animals, they catch the prey on the ground. And when the prey is dead, is when they're going to take it up to a tree. So the animal is not killed up by the tree, it's killed on the ground. He's playing some hide and seek because we can't see him at all now. So I'm just gonna move forward and see if we can have a better visual. It's not clear here. So they have just spotted him now on top of the termite mound behind me.
Keep it forward just a bit. Forward just a bit. Yeah, keep it there.
So I can see him now. He's right on top of the termite mound in the middle there. He's coming down. He's now right on top looking at this side. Sydney. Yes. Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Can you see him? He's right on top of the termite mound on the other side. I can see him from here. I think he's right on top. So I was just giving the updates to another vehicle. There's some other vehicles we just got arrived now. So now let's go to the Masai Mara and see David is driving around there looking for something interesting for you this morning.
While we came close to our toppies, the only thing our toppies do not have any babies. I've been trying to get toppies with the babies and maybe be able to show you the difference between ages of particular antelopes. And this, and more so the toppies, if you look at the youngsters and the adults, they look very different. You might think the mothers got the wrong babies because they're always like brown in color, and if you look carefully here, the toppies have like two different colors. They cross, and I think where they're going to have a drink. That's just my guess. They look to be in fast pace. That's another herd of it, another herd of toppies there. A few wildebeest, not as many. And we have always thought these different colors well, I haven't found your one-horn toppy that was pregnant, but I can tell you I am not going anywhere. I'll be here, or we'll be here this afternoon, we'll be here tomorrow. We'll still be looking for the one-horn toppy. I do not know where it could be hiding, but the Masai Mara Game Reserve, or the Mara Triangle, is huge. It is massive, and it could be very difficult to know exactly where they go to. But if she was pregnant, maybe she might have gone to some place to hide and maybe be able to bring down her baby and then come rejoin the main group. What we have found out in these antelopes many times, when they're just about to give birth, they'll be on their own. And once they give birth, that helps the baby to have a proper imprint of the mother, to know the mother 100%, so that once the mother rejoins the main herd, it doesn't get lost or doesn't get mixed up and loses the mother. When it comes to suckling, she needs to go straight to the mother. I love the way they walk, moving their heads up and down. And you can see the vastness of the savannah. The zebras in the background. Not sure between the toppies and zebras who would be able to blend in very well. keep walking. As I say, the direction they're going, there's one area that you always have a spring, and most likely that's where they're going for a drink. As the wind is catching up, you can hear all the flaps in the car. And as I said earlier, when we see this amount of wind here in the mornings, is always a clear indication that we might get rain in the day. What a great morning it has been both in South Africa in Juma Private Game Reserve and the Mara Triangle. My big friend Sydney was able to locate my other friend Hosanna, and I would want to believe Taylor has done a wonderful job. Big James still promises that what we have been talking about will happen. And with all my Ellies here, the hyenas feeding, we were not lucky to see the waffles, but that we saw that beautiful kill. And with the toppies here, I would want to say on behalf of everybody here, thank you for joining, and see you this afternoon from all of us. Thank you very much and have a good one.